Shua Tov, everyone. Welcome to Tillis Tells Story for Saturday night. The title of this week's video is Two Well-Kept Secrets. I modified and supplemented it from LechaimWeekly.org. Rabbi Chaim Halberstam of Sanz was deeply involved in the mitzvah of tzedakah, charity. While he and his family lived most frugally, he gave with an open hand from his own meager funds and solicited from others as well. In keeping with the rabbinical commandment that charity collectors should travel in pairs, he always went on his rounds with a respected member of the community. One time, the Divrei Chaiim, as he is often referred to, after his many volume works on different Torah topics, once he set about to collect a large amount of tzedakah from a certain once wealthy man who had gone bankrupt. He and a trusted companion were going from house to house soliciting funds when they came to the elegant home of one of the richest men in the city. They entered the elegant anteroom and were shown to a velvet sofa where they were served tea from a silver tea service while they waited for the master of the house to appear. After a few minutes, a well-dressed gentleman entered and greeted the illustrious Sanzarav warmly. The rabbi and his companion requested that the wealthy man donate a large amount of 500 ruples for an unspecified worthy cause. The rich man considered their request for a few moments and then asked, "Tell me, exactly what is this cause that you are collecting for? Is it for some public institution or for a private person?" Rabbi Chaim replied that he was collecting for a wealthy citizen who had lost all his money and gone into bankruptcy. However, this answer wasn't sufficient for the potential donor, and he began to inquire further about the identity of the person. "I'm sorry," replied Rabbi Chaim, "but I cannot divulge the man's name, since that would cause him terrible embarrassment. You'll just have to trust me when I tell you that he's a very deserving individual." The rich man refused to be persuaded from his aggressive pursuit of the man's identity. "Of course I trust you implicitly, and I would only be too happy to donate several thousand ruples to help you. But I would first like to know to whom I am giving the money." At this point, the man who was accompanying the rabbi interjected his opinion that perhaps it wouldn't be so bad to divulge the man's identity in this case. Certainly the rich donor wouldn't allow the information to leave the room, and it was a wonderful opportunity to amass the large amount of money needed to help a fellow Jew who could rebuild his life. But Rabbi Chaim would say only that the man had up until recently been one of the pillars of the community and had himself contributed to many worthy causes before his unfortunate business collapse. Still, their wealthy host continued to insist that he wouldn't publicize the man's name. Indeed, far from being silenced, he became even more aroused in his curiosity. "If you tell me his name, I will give you half of the entire amount you need." Rabbi Chaim's fellow collector again tried to convince him to reveal the man's name due to the tremendous sum of money involved, but to no avail. "You must understand," the rabbi replied, "that even though the sum you are offering is more than generous, the honor of this Jew is more important and valued to me than any amount of money. If you were to give me the total sum that I require, I would still refuse to reveal the identity of the recipient." The rich man's countenance changed suddenly, and he became very still. After a moment, he softly asked Rabbi Chaim to step into an adjacent room, for he wished to speak with him privately. Standing alone with the Rebbe, the rich man broke down into bitter sobbing. "Rebbe," he began, "I too have lost my entire fortune and am about to enter into bankruptcy. I was too embarrassed to tell this to anyone, but when I saw how scrupulously you guarded the other man's privacy, I knew I could trust you. Please forgive me for testing you in such an outrageous manner, but I am a desperate man. I needed to know that surely under no circumstances would you tell anyone about my terrible situation. I am in debt for such a large sum, and I have no hope at all of repaying it. I am afraid that I will have no choice but to leave my family and go begging from door to door." The Sanzarav left the house of the rich man, and needless to say, not a soul ever heard a word of their conversation. Less than a week later, he returned to the same man's house with a large sum of money. He had been able to raise enough money to rescue not only the original intended recipient, but this one as well. They were both able to pay off their debts and resume their businesses successfully. The role of the saintly Sanzer Rebbe in this affair became known only many years later, after his soul had left this material world and gone to its well-deserved eternal reward. Yeah, yes. A multiple of good deeds is the key, folks, not only to a good afterlife, but also to help hasten the final redemption. Shavua Tov, Mashiach now.